Vote for me, make a job president. Vote for me, make a job president. Vote for me, I want job president. Vote for me, make a job president. I will make you vice president.
I pride myself in being an objective observer of issues in Ghana. And I think in terms of policies, Ghanaians are most likely or are almost always quick to accept policies that involve the word free or that involve being handed aid in one way or the other.
We all want that, but personally I don't think it's feasible, as in the sense that I don't think we have enough money.
You are not paying attention to the quality of education or the kind of people you are churning out. People complete universities and there's no job to do.
Basically, the promise of freebies has been something that has come in the past. In the past, people have come to promise that they'll give farmers free machetes when they win. That farmers will have, people in the villages will have free silverwares to cook in. All these are not new. But the dimension is that the freebies has extended into the educational domain. And we as Ghanaians, I know Ghanaians have looked beyond the showmanship for a long time. Ghanaians can come out and listen to the noise you have to make on the platform and the promises you are bringing on board. And when they go back to their homes, they know better whether they are feasible or not.
With the education sector, there are so many schools that need to be built very well. If you go to the villages, you realize that some of them are really, really suffering. So I think with the education, they should go to villages especially, and then see to them.
Looking at the educational structure that we have as a country, I believe that it is producing more grammar-based graduates who are unable to think for themselves. So you see somebody who has spent years in school, years in the university, come out and the only thing the person can do for himself or herself is to form an association of unemployed graduates.
When it comes to the MBB's free SHS, I do not think it's that feasible, because even if they're able to implement that policy, there may still be some people who are corrupt enough to take away most of the money, so then it wouldn't work out.
They'll say that they didn't know the financial condition of the country and the former government embezzled money and all that. So I don't think it's feasible. It's just one of their many campaign promises to canvass for votes.
I think it is feasible if they decide to really focus on it and do it. In the previous years, governments have made promises, but then they come and then other things get in the way. And then also leaders are not very accountable. So in the end, they don't get to do what they want to do.
I believe in educating one student at a time. When I say educating one student at a time is taking into consideration what education means to an individual. And I believe when that is taken from the grassroots or from the basics, education as a whole will be meaningful to Ghanaians and the citizens. Because you cannot just pop up with this idea that I want to educate this mass number of people when you cannot even focus on one student at a time.
For education, I think it is critical, it is important, but as to whether we want free education or quality education itself is questionable.
In as much as we want to promote or try to restructure our education system, I think the focus should not be too much on free, and it should be more or less like the quality of education that we're trying to have.
I believe that education, accessibility leads to quality. Without having access to education, I don't think you'll be here talking quality. So making education free in a typical developing country like Ghana, where majority of the people are highly illiterate, I believe would open grounds for several people to enter into the education system.
I'm looking at an educational system that will make people more innovative and more creative. That will not produce graduates that will be looking for jobs, but graduates that will be creating jobs for those who are unable to gain access to the university education.
We are just learning about things that we can't even do anything about. We are just learning things that I think it doesn't help when we go to the job market. What we learn in school, when you go to the job market, it's a different thing altogether.
For example, a man completes UST with his PhD in mechanical engineering, and his car breaks down and he calls a mechanic to come and fix it. That means we are not doing a lot.
Well, some of them are feasible and some of them aren't. Like free SHS I think is quite feasible, but I think an addition of teachers and training is not feasible because of the debt that Ghana still incurs.
Well, funny enough, I think the free SHS policy as feasible. And why I say that is because most of the political parties have tied their interest into that, and not only one party is pushing for that free SHS policy. So
anything can happen. They'll have to pay debts and all. But if they have the resources, will they do it? That's the question. Not can they do it. Of course we can.
You like borrowing a lot? Yeah, you go in for China's loan, you go in for IMF's loan and all that. Of course you owe. All governments, they owe, seriously.
It's not for free.
Yeah, but which I think we should reduce, because if we try to generate our incomes internally, well, it will help us a lot. I think Kofo did a good job on that one.
I think the free education is very feasible. Looking at the natural resources of Ghana, we can do it. Offering quality education, not just free education. And also, my only problem is with, will they do it? Because we have the resources and everything, but will they actually do it?
As much as possible, I think some of the policies being raised, some are feasible, others are not. Because looking at some of the promises our politicians are making, we realize that in this country, looking at the economic situation, looking at how people are suffering, looking at the basic necessities of life that some people don't enjoy in this country, it would rather be unfortunate if some of our leaders should be promising us heaven when we can't get there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they make promises just to win votes.
I think the promises that they make, you can't really say if it's going to happen or not, because from what we've seen over the past years, they say that to win votes, and then when they get into power, they normally don't do that. So I would say it's 50% feasible. Until they come to power and do it, we can't really congratulate them on a good work done.
I believe we all need quality education. We all need education, whether free or not. I think the subject matter there should be quality.
I think that they should put in place more facilities, like for example those offering science programs. The laboratories in the public schools don't have a lot of facilities there, and then they should gauge other places and then give them more of the stuff that they need, rather than coming in to promise and then when they get in there, like when we vote for them, they don't do what they say they will do.
I believe that policies about all the ideas you think you can give out to your people, whether feasible or not, I think that anything you bring out to your people must be beneficial and efficient. So we're asked whether we've gotten 200 schools, we've gotten whatever. It's up to us, especially as communicators of this school, to go out there to look out for what they claim they've actually provided to us. Then we also come out to communicate to the people.
I believe most of the policies are feasible and it's attainable. And what it requires is prudent economic management. And as economic students, I know that there's a party that came once into this country, that came to power, and we realized there were universal free education for everybody. I believe that all comes with prudent economic management, and with that we could have most of their policies that they are promising being feasible and then achievable.
Now, precedence shows that in Ghana, whatever is free almost always comes at a certain cost. And I think it's about time Ghanaians took their time to actually learn and educate themselves on issues, on policies. We've become so some people are so politically inclined that they are quick to accept the policies made by certain parties only because they align themselves to that party. But as my friend is saying, there are certain policies, especially this free education policy, which most people have not even taken their time to look into, to understand, to know whether it is possible or it is not.
As I stand here, I know that the promise of free SHS, in the context of free, as we understand free, is not possible. Because no matter what, there can't be the elimination of any itemic payment in the fee structure of the SHS. To the average Ghanaian, if a son gets one of the biggest schools in Ghana, he expects that he buys a trunk and a box and a mattress for the child, give him to a driver, take my son to this school. I wouldn't be paying anything, but that is not the case. So if you look at the argument within this context, you realize that no matter what, there will be an item of payment, and the promise of free senior high school, basic school education or whatever is not going to be feasible.
So I'm looking at a skill-based educational system, not the current grammar-based educational system, which is just producing graduates who cannot work but always coming out to look for employment. the few who even get the employment, they are not able to contribute to the progress of their institutions that give them the employment.
Besides, trying to fit a budget for such a huge venture would be difficult. To me, it would be better if they rather try to start the free SHS for day students or categorize certain people. So maybe those that they know are in need of the money, they should be the ones that have free SHS, because not everybody in Ghana who needs it. There are some people who can pay. So they should let those who can pay, and let those who actually need it be the ones to enjoy the free SHS.
Okay, if we get free education and the infrastructure is not enough, what happens? If we get the quality education, what goes into that quality? You understand? So I am looking at the content of education. Should we continue with the theory-based education that we've been going through, or should we have a paradigm shift where we can get more practicality?
We need a country where our syllabus will be structured in such a way that will meet our national economy. You can't tell me free or you can't tell me quality when basically the content of the education itself is not good. Both political parties are promising very good things, but as of now, I believe that we should restructure the syllabus of our educational system so that tomorrow, if I should graduate, there's a ready job waiting for me. A job that will transform the economy and lead to a better nation. So it's not a matter of it being free, like the MPP is saying, or it being quality, like the NDC is saying, but it is the content, so that when I graduate from school, I can be able to fix into the job market. And I think that's what we need as a country now.
I hope they wouldn't channel the resources into paying debts and other things, but go according to what they promised us, because that is what is going to move the masses to vote.
We should move from theory-based education to practical-based. So whether it's free education or quality education, I don't think that's what matters. We need the content. Paradigm shift. I just implore Ghanaians, please let us try to educate ourselves and vote because we know and not because we have been told.
The educational system basically, right from the basic level, should be fine-tuned to suit the current demands of the job market.
I think that the educational system to be structured in such a way that when students are able to complete, they will be able to get things to do in the job market.
If they should make it a national agenda and then stick to it, then I think it's possible.
If they think they can do it, they can do it by doing the right things.
I'm hoping what they say when they get in there, they will actually do that.
Vote for me, make a job president. Vote for me, make a job president. Vote for me, I want job president. Vote for me, make a job president. I will make you vice president. Vice president. Vote for me, make
Follow
a job
us
president.
on the social media. On YouTube, it's My Voice GH. And then on Google Plus, use My Voice GH. And then use the hashtag #MyVoiceGH.